So let's start with the background to this case, Mike, involving these three accused.
So, Shahan, stick with me here. It gets a little bit complicated, but this is a case of corruption related to a case of fraud and contravention of the Immigration Act. So we'll start with Kebone Masange. He is the HOD, the head of department at the Human Settlements Department in Mpumalanga. He is alleged to have gotten his hands on fraudulent passports. He's believed to be from Zimbabwe, passing himself off as a South African. Home Affairs swooped in. He was arrested in early September 2020, last year already. That case was given to a prosecutor, Andrew Mpaha. So this is where accused number one in this case is the very senior acting Director of Public Prosecutions in Mpumalanga, but also the Chief Prosecutor in Pretoria, somebody who's incredibly familiar to everybody where I am now, including some journalists. He's been working in the NPA for the last 3 decades, so everybody here at the Pretoria Magistrate's Court knows him. He is accused number one in this case of corruption. And he, accused number two, would be Lieutenant Colonel Ayanda Plaiki from the Hawks. He was the investigating officer on that initial case involving Masange, the immigration issue. And the third accused is Kebone Masange himself. He is now a third accused in this case, so a second matter involving him. It is alleged that on 4 occasions, at least on one occasion, there was an attempt made to the initial investigating officer on the case by accused number one, Mr. Matrick Lupondo, to drop the case. There was on a second attempt, there was a meeting at a McDonald's in Arcadia. The state is trying to get hold of that video footage. On the third occasion, on the 23rd of March this year, there is 5,000 rand that is alleged to have exchanged hands between accused number one and the prosecutor prosecuting that case. And then on the 27th of March, just a few days ago, that is when it is alleged that 28,000 rand went to the prosecutor to try and get him to drop that case. I just want to add, Shahan, there was also a lovely bottle of Glenfiddich 18-year-old whiskey valued at 1,550 rand that also allegedly went to the prosecutor along with the 5 grand in cash on the 23rd of March. They were remanded in custody. The state wanted a 7-day postponement to look into several factors, including the fact that Mr. Andrew Mpaha fears for his safety. There are concerns around his safety. People have been allegedly asking where he stays, what car he drives, and so on. So the state wanted 7 days to look into that, as well as to look into the 3 accused and whether they have any pending charges and any other matters that the court should be aware of. That application was denied. In fact, the magistrate said, no, you should have done all of that before you made these arrests, and you have until tomorrow morning, 8:30 on Thursday, when the formal bail application will be heard.
Yeah. So what's the NPA saying about one of its own actually being charged with corruption?
Yeah, it was my first question to Sipho Ngwema. Is this, there's a certain sense of familiarity here. You can see it in the way that some of the staff members in court relate to this particular accused. I mean, in many ways, he has worked amongst them and they have worked for him for several decades. So I asked him, is this an indication that you are definitely prepared as the NPA to go after one of your own? Remember, the state only brings cases if there is a reasonable prospect of successful prosecution. You can't just bring it on a whim. So to go after him here, they have to believe they have a watertight case. Here's Sipho Ngwema.
I think we are, disappointed that any of our officials will be entangled in a matter like this. But also we take pride in the fact that the people who caught them the people who refused to do what is against the values of the National Prosecuting Authority and the law enforcement in general are members of the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority. And I think those men and women are the ones that we take pride in terms of the defense of our values. Of course, the accused will get the opportunity to defend themselves in court, but as part of what we had said we want to do is to make sure that at the end of the day our institutions are anchored in the values of integrity, honesty and credibility. So we will do whatever it takes to make sure that we clean ourselves and we focus on the vision that we have chosen for ourselves going forward. So yes, we are disappointed that some amongst us will be implicated in allegations like this, but as I said, we take pride and encouraged by the fact that very many amongst us are prepared to defend the new vision.